Hi everyone, it's a great pleasure to be back today in Abu Dhabi Finance Week. And it's a great honor for me to moderate this panel, to be able to explain the growth of our ecosystem in Abu Dhabi on the innovation and startup side. So as you know, it will be disclosed soon, but the latest report for the growth of the innovation ecosystem globally, I've been able to rank Abu Dhabi as the fastest growing emerging ecosystem in MENA, worth 4.2 billion USD as ecosystem value. Ahmed, you're the CEO of Hub 71. Maybe you can introduce yourself, and after we will go to the other members of the panel.
It's always for all the technology work we do, the amount of times we get technical difficulties with mics. Thank you so much, Elodie. It's an honor and a privilege to be here sitting in front of you. My name is Ahmed Alwan. I'm the CEO of Hub 71. We've blessed to be partnering with for the Venture Park at the Abu Dhabi Finance Week, and also grateful to have great partners, a great network of our community here sitting amongst them. Just briefly, Hub 71 is Abu Dhabi's tech ecosystem enabler. What we do is that we have a range of programs and initiatives that support startups across their journey. The gents you see on my right are two of such cases. We also work with a whole host of partners to support facilitating opportunities for the startup community, which is a great segue to introduce a great friend and partner, Alex Mason.
Thanks, Ahmed. Good to be here. I'm Alex Manson, SC Ventures. Backed by Standard Chartered, we build ventures. We set out to rewire the DNA in banking, serve clients the way they want to be served, reconcile financial services with society's expectations of what financial services would do. And the way we do this is build companies. We have about 30 companies, of which 10 are now operating in this part of the world one way or another. Some of them are homegrown and more coming. It's about 150 people in the region. We're a very, very big buyer of the opportunity and very excited to be here. Hi, everyone.
So moving to the entrepreneurs now, John from H2O.
Thank you. My name is John Lee. I'm a founder and CEO of H2O Hospitality. We provide digital transformation solutions to tourism-related properties like accommodation, hotels, resorts, leisure facilities, amusement parks. Also, we're trying to expand to the airports right now. We're currently in around 12 different countries and trying to be more global through our Abu Dhabi entity. Thank you.
And Omar from Abi.
Hi, thank you, Elodie. I'm Omar Ansari, CEO and co-founder of Abi. We are a YC-backed lending fintech in the region. Started off in Pakistan, but now headquartered in the UAE. We're in Saudi, UAE, and Pakistan, doing everything from working capital financing for SMEs and closed-loop financing for their employee base.
So as I was saying in the beginning, it's been a great journey that started around 5 years ago with Hub 71, and it's a great honor to see, that companies who were convinced to set up shop in Abu Dhabi, started with Hub 71, being able also to get the support of ADIO, are now trying to conquer the world, from Abu Dhabi and having really global expansion from Abu Dhabi. So maybe let's start with the ecosystem enabler and with Hub 71. So Ahmed, can you explain us, because Hub 71 has been really instrumental in being, of course, positioning Abu Dhabi as a global startup hub. Can you explain us what is the unique value proposition of Abu Dhabi ecosystem and how we can support the growth and the scale of these companies?
Thank you, Elodie. I think for Hub 71, it's a bit of also kind of spending time talking about Hub 71's history. When we started in 2019, we identified that Abu Dhabi has great macroeconomic enablers, great societal enablers that would enable any business to grow and thrive. The missing component at that time was really a launch pad, a soft landing location where these startups can set up their businesses, because Abu Dhabi historically focused on larger scale businesses, and that was really the focus. So our job was to ensure that we create a community, create a value proposition that would support any startup to grow and scale out of Abu Dhabi. And that's really the inception of Hub 71 in 2019. we ensured that we had a lot of workshops with founders, with investors to identify how we can support soft landing companies into Abu Dhabi. So a lot of the feedback we got were like, yes, Abu Dhabi is a great, it has great macroeconomic factors, safety, security, tax environment, rule of law, especially in ADGM, that is a great now location for funded startups and investors, international companies to be a springboard. But the common feedback we got that it's a bit too expensive, which is fair for any startup that looking, for cost-effective means. So when Hub 71 started its program, it was really an incentive program in order to alleviate some of the cost structure elements of these startups. So as we evolved, we continued to focus, listen to our founders, and made sure that we create programs that support their soft landing journey. And that was basically Hub 71 over the past 5 years. I think one of the great unique things that we are starting now to tap into as Hub 71 and Abu Dhabi is to evolve not only from an entrepreneurial soft landing value proposition, but into the technology value proposition. And this is something you will see continue to emanate out of the Hub 71 and Abu Dhabi ecosystem.
Thank you, Ahmed. I think the best way to explain how Abu Dhabi ecosystem and also Hub 71 is able to support, the startup ventures is also to get the testimony of entrepreneurs, of course. So Omar, Abi is a fintech platform that started a couple of years ago in Pakistan. From there, you moved to YC. You were part of one of the cohort of YC, but you decided to come back to the region and to get your company based in Hub 71. Can you explain us a little bit how was your journey in Abu Dhabi, and especially on the capital raising and also being able to access, broader markets from Abu Dhabi?
Absolutely. So we, as you rightly said, started the company 4 years ago in Pakistan. Very quickly became one of the largest fintechs in the country. But if anyone follows the news, probably saw there was quite a bit of macro turbulence that happened in the country about 2 years into our journey. Thereafter, we were looking to expand out into the GCC. UAE and Abu Dhabi was the clear spot for us. I mean, I finished high school in Abu Dhabi, so it was an easy place to come back home to. But beyond that, it was that we had interacted with various people within the government and wanted to be able to enter with a launch pad for us to be able to hit the ground running. And that's really where Hub 71 was instrumental in our success for the UAE, because at that time, it wasn't, and we weren't looking for capital at that time. It was not the capital which was important for us. It was our go-to-market and our regulatory. We're a lending fintech, and whenever we enter new markets, the first people we speak to are the regulators. Now, Hub 71 was the reason why we got a front seat at ADGM for us to speak to the regulator and the central bank as well, to say, this is what we plan to do. How do we do it? In a legal manner. We're not looking to play the gray area. We don't believe in that. We believe in regulation, so we went down that route. And we wouldn't have that meeting if it wasn't for that. That was step one. Step two was the ability for us to then go to market and actually get customers very quickly. Again, Hub 71 gave us a list of companies that they were very close to. A very simple example is Emirates Post. Said, can we speak to Emirates Post? Now, a lot of other people say can get a meeting and say, yeah, we'll put you in touch with someone. This was the CEO and CFO of Emirates Post on day one. It was fantastic. So it allowed us to go live in the UAE with a customer base at scale much quicker comparatively to anything else I've ever seen. And then lastly was the capital. So as we established ourselves in the UAE and then expanded out to GCC further, we were able to raise regional capital, having Abu Dhabi as our headquarters, as opposed to just having a Pakistan entity. So that's kind of the spectrum of how it really helped Abi and our journey over here.
I think I can't echo more what you're saying. I think we've been seeing in the last years that Abu Dhabi has a lot to offer, but the two main differentiator, I think, is on one side, how supportive are our regulators toward innovation, which is very key to be able to support vertical like fintech. And on the other side, is how, at the end, Abu Dhabi is a village and where everyone is interconnected and everyone is there ready to support, the growth of the ecosystem. I think this is really like the unique position of Abu Dhabi. John, so H2O is an hospitality is a startup focusing on hospitality and especially on the digital transformation of the tourism industry. So you started your company in Korea and decided to move your team and your operation towards Abu Dhabi. You've been able to get, of course, the support of Hub 71, but also Adio towards your journey. Can you explain a little bit, how you did this move? Was it easy to scale your operation from Abu Dhabi? And why the choice, of our city to be able to support the digitalization of the tourism industry?
So one of the things that I initially was very attracted to about Abu Dhabi was innovation. Adaptation in terms of tech in our industry, overall travel industry, is very behind. But the overall government was already investing in digitizing a lot, not only the property operation side, but also the travelers' data side as well, which we focus a lot. What we normally provide is not only the pure solution itself, but also we're developing an infrastructure so that the country or the company itself can have its own customer data platform, which our industry never possessed before. But unlike a lot of the Asian countries that we're in, when I speak about these CDP or CRM, the government itself, like Department of Culture and Tourism here, fully understood what we were trying to do, and they were very supportive. That was the main aspect that we decided. Another aspect that was very intriguing to me was I actually moved here about a year ago, and my definition of global really changed. I was actually born in Canada, but I lived most of my life in East Asia and Canada and US. So my definition of global was actually just North America and some countries of Asia. But as soon as I came here, I got to learn more about the overall Middle East, North Africa, India, Pakistan, Middle Asia, Europe. So as an entrepreneur, seeing new market becomes a huge opportunity. And what we decided to do within 6-month frame was we actually decided to set our ADGM entity as our global holdco. So we're actually acquiring an American company now next year, which will go under our ADGM entity. That's how important for us to become more of a global company through ADGM, which I think it's like a proof of how it's a great environment to set up your global entity here.
Alex, I think you wanted to share something.
I'm just going to pile up on what these two guys said, which is great and the best testimony. I was intrigued by how you introduced Ahmed as the ecosystem enabler, and ecosystem means different things to different people, right? Back to our biology or life sciences classes. But now I have this mental association when I think, what does ecosystem mean? I think of Ahmed, right? So we opened in Hub 71 officially 10 months ago, and you could say, what's the big deal? It's an office, it's a place to work, right? But actually, it's the connections across the ecosystem. So what does it take? It takes founders, it takes venture builders, it takes technologists, but then it takes academia, it takes journalists, it takes regulators, it takes, that ecosystem comes to life in such a special way. And I just wanted to get back to it, and for better or for worse, I have this mental association. You're gonna have a hard time getting rid of it, but it's well done.
I can't echo that more, and I think this deserves a round of applause because behind all of this connection, this is not a bot or digital support. There are human beings trying to understand, and get the best of the local ecosystem to be able to support our entrepreneurs. And it's a lot of hard work from the team. Alex, so can you please share a little bit more about your venture builder? So as you were saying, you moved 10 months ago to Abu Dhabi. You decided to pick up Hub 71 to be able to build the next, ventures covering different type of sectors, including fintech, supply chain, SMEs. Can you explain us how was your journey and how was also the balance between the local investors but also getting international investors like yourselves?
So back to ecosystem, right? Building on this. The point is we don't do anything alone. We do everything in partnership, and so we're constantly looking for like-minded partners. In fact, today we're announcing MOUs with two partners. One 7X, formerly known as Emirates Post. The other one is Lulu Financial in Abu Dhabi, and we're very excited about this. But it starts with with looking for like-minded partners that we can build businesses with. You asked the question about international versus local. Think of it from the standpoint of a founder, which is, by the way, any investor builder who thinks it's about them and not the founders has got it wrong. It's all about the founders and the little ventures, and until they grow and all this. If you think about the founder, how do you think about your board? Would you like a board who's essentially an accountant and controls you, and which is part of governance? Obviously, it's sound governance. Or do you want a board that's going to take you places? And so, if you think of the composition of your board, well, you want a combination of local and international investors and partners and commercial anchors, and have people who will take you places and help you scale. And that's where the cooperation comes in. So, of course, you need to cooperate. Of course, we complement each other. Of course, we bring different things to the table. And that's the mindset in which we're approaching the whole region. And by the way, we're open for business. Please engage. We're not just open for business. We're open for building and scaling businesses in this part of the world.
Thank you. Ahmed, for the entrepreneurs and founders who are listening to us, do you have any specific clusters or sectors you are focusing on where you think Abu Dhabi has a very strong value proposition?
Yeah, it's a great question, Elodie, and I'll talk again about our journey. So first I'll just acknowledge the great work and thank you for the shout outs to Hub 71, but this obviously always a testament to the hard work and openness that all you have. It's very humbling and fulfilling to always be for Hub 71 to be the center of all of this. All that continues to make us want to continue elevating Hub 71 and the ecosystem here. And that's exactly the mantra we adopt when we think about Hub 71 and the tech ecosystem here. So when Hub 71 started in 2019, we were sector agnostic. We welcomed any sector within technology, as long as you're a startup, where we had our ears open. The idea was not to crowd out other sectors. Why? Because if you start doing top-down analysis for Abu Dhabi, which sector would you focus on? You're right, oil and gas. But we wanted to make sure we have an environment that supports any technology. 2019, some people heard of AI, but it wasn't front and center like it is today. But what happened to us in 2019, we started seeing a lot of different startups that were AI enabled. Back then, to this day obviously, but AI was made as an enabling tool. Machine learning that supports optimize your business is something that startups could have done that the corporates couldn't do, because corporates take them 10 years to identify technology. Well, some corporates, not all of them. So we started now looking, well, there are natural sectors that are forming around what we're doing at Hub 71. So 2022, with the great work of the team, we started focus on fintech, edutech, health tech, mobility, logistics and travel, food tech, and climate tech. All with different reasons. We saw, obviously, where Abu Dhabi had the great areas or important areas of focus for Abu Dhabi, but at the same time we saw where our naturally clusters we had forming. Obviously, Hub 71 being at the ADGM, the financial free zone of Abu Dhabi, fintech was a common one. Now, what does the future hold? Sectors are great, are cool, but today we're all about cross-cutting technologies that will enable all of these sectors. And there are three specifically that we continue to be passionate about and we will continue focusing on. These are digital assets. In a world where digital assets face some stigma for different reasons, we knew that the importance of having a strong regulator to ensure that you have compliant, scalable growth. And that's why today Abu Dhabi is becoming one of the great launchpads for any digital assets business, having the presence of ADGM as a regulator and then overlaying Hub 71 as an ecosystem builder. Secondly, AI. I said this a couple of times before, but if you thought Abu Dhabi is here in terms of AI, it's actually here. We're doing a couple of great things when it comes to AI. We've always been startups, but the value that a lot of different Abu Dhabi-based entities have either committed to or offer in terms of AI is tantamount. And over the next few months, hopefully you will see a lot more of that coming to life. And last but not least, software as a service, very cross-cutting. We want Abu Dhabi to be a place where you can be the best in class in any of these businesses, and that's the journey we're embarking on.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Couldn't be more aligned. Couldn't be more aligned. All the ventures we have are across these things and directly linked. I mean, everything you've mentioned is feeds directly into Vision 33, and so that makes perfect sense. We think of Abu Dhabi as a hub for our digital assets ventures. We have software as a service coming here. If you don't have 10, 15 use cases at the moment, going to 50 and 100 and more in a little startup for AI, then you're not doing your job, et cetera, et cetera.
I think it's very interesting to see how Abu Dhabi is always, trying to choose, I would say, the hard way, meaning going with the technologies which are the difficult ones, but we know that will be, instrumental to change the economy of tomorrow. And going back to digital assets, I remember when we launched the digital asset vertical in Hub71 a couple of years ago, it was just after the issue of FTX. People were looking at us like
Fun fact,
pioneers.
Elodie convinced us. Everyone's looking at Elodie. Are you sure you want to do this? Elodie used to head growth and strategy at Hub71, but yeah.
And thank you. And now with the new US president-elect, that sounds like something that needed to be done for the world, I assume. Coming back to our founders and our entrepreneurs, Omar, do you have anything to share, especially regarding the opportunities, with the growing interest of digitalization of the finance area for fintech startup for the region?
Yeah, I'm sorry. For us, there's ample room. I think it's interesting. We were sitting with a couple of regulators a few weeks ago. Everyone historically has thought the region is small from an opportunity standpoint and came here only to be able to raise capital to then go build elsewhere. I think that's changing dramatically. I mean, we're seeing it ourselves. The UAE has become one of our largest part of our business because the depth is there. The opportunity for you to be able to launch product is there. It's just that the execution wasn't there before. So for us, you don't even need to look left or right when it comes to the domestic system because, as you rightly mentioned, regulation for us is hugely important. The regulator is open. The regulator has an open door policy. You can go speak with them. And then for you to launch new products over here, automatically you can be a lot more viable as a business. For example, for us, our average ticket size here is 5 times what it is in any of our other markets. So automatically from a profitability standpoint, despite it being a smaller population, et cetera, you're still building a very large business from here. And then your ability to then catapult yourself from here elsewhere becomes even easier. So I'd say for us, the digital infrastructure over here is now moving towards what we're seeing in other emerging markets. It's seamless with the launch of Ani, for example. It allows us to really play something where infrastructure doesn't play even in the US. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of growth still in the UAE.
Thank you. John, if there was one thing you want to share, what was really the game changer when you decided to move your operations and your company to Abu Dhabi?
I think it's very industry specific, but one of the biggest things that I experienced was especially the travel industry, because the governments in the GCC countries have been and are investing heavily in the tourism industry. A lot of the global headquarters of these travel companies, hospitality companies, are actually based in UAE. So when we were actually approaching companies like IHG or Accor in Asia headquarter, they were saying, it takes about 2 years to get approved through the main headquarter in the States or in Europe. When we spoke to the regional headquarter in the MENA region, which are mostly based in UAE, it was immediate decision-making process within 3 months. So I totally agree with Omar in terms of the market size and opportunity, because within 12-month frame before we came here, our revenue became from 40 million to 100 million within 12-month frame, which is a big jump. And this was mostly coming from the newly developed markets within this region. So I think there's a big opportunity, definitely. However, one different thing is once you decide to come here, it's more of a B2G aspect that you need to consider. And what you need to consider more is rather than what you want to take, you have to consider what you want to give first, how you're going to add value to the economy of Abu Dhabi. I think the most question that I received during the investment committee process of ADIO was, what type of economic value are you bringing to Abu Dhabi? I think I got that question more than 20 times. And I truly believe that we had a clear vision and clear targets in terms of what H2O hospitality is going to add value to the Abu Dhabi economy. So you really have to think about that before planning to expand to the region and specifically for Abu Dhabi as well.
And I just want to build on that because I think it's an important aspect to mention. Both Amir and John did not, yes, we opened the door with them, but their journey to enter wasn't easy. I would say this on your behalf. They had to really be resilient. I think John, it took him at least a year to keep knocking on the same doors, saying, I want to be here, until finally he got a great deal that allowed him to skyrocket. Now, the great thing about Abu Dhabi, by the way, both Abi and H2O got support from the Abu Dhabi Investment Office. Why? Because, like John said, they showed commitment to invest out of this emirate. And it's another case study to show that, yes, the entry, by the way, we're continue to optimize it. We want to ensure that there is responsiveness, there's a clear path on what it is that Abu Dhabi is looking for and what it take for you to succeed, but it is a journey. But they are great examples to showcase that Abu Dhabi will invest and will reward those that invest in it. Alex is a different example, all open doors. He just said he thought about coming to Abu Dhabi. The offices were made open for him immediately.
Thank you.
So it's time to ramp up that panel. I have one last question for all of you. If you had to pick up one word to describe the Abu Dhabi innovation ecosystem, what would it be?
The family show, guys, huh? Family show.
Alex.
Open.
Ahmed?
Resilience. Resilient.
Sorry, this was not a prepared question, so.
I would say center.
Flexible.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. It was a pleasure spending that time with you, and we hope to support the success of more companies coming to Abu Dhabi. Thank you.